Hey everybody, Texas Stroke here, Lance's Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. Sunday night, figured I'd get a little time, try to get some videos cranked out. We are in the hole. I'm usually running way ahead on these. That is not the case. First thing first, as always, timestamps and links are there for your convenience. Take advantage of them. And this particular tool haul, I think it would have been 66 back in the day. Now there's some things that are going to go ahead of it, so I don't know, late 60s that's probably going to turn out to be. But this stuff goes back to June, and some of the items you might have imagined are put in use. We're going to go ahead and get started again. Every single order you get a bit of thanks. Should be familiar with those by now. And if you exceed 75, you get free shipping. If you exceed 100, you get the German tool sticker pack, which was updated with the Picard and Halder stickers. So you'll want to check that out. Now, right here, right off the bat, it's not what's inside there you need to be concerned with. This may or may not be the one I bought, but I've purchased, I don't know, probably 4 to 5 of these things. They are very reasonable. And for little parts, you know, fasteners, electrical connectors, in this case bulbs and electrical connectors, whatever you have in mind, these work fantastic. That's why I continue to buy them. We are looking at what for this sucker? Didn't even write the price down. They're reasonable. I've covered it before, just to kind of give you an idea like what they're capable of in like a real world setting here. Yeah, it's bulb covers, it's bulbs, stuff out of the truck, stuff I'm planning to install, backups, literally it's little LEDs, and then some tiny, you guessed it, screwdrivers. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what this one's holding. I've got bits in some of them. I've got electrical connectors in some, just whatever you can think of. The cool thing is, this is a legit L-Boxx. It's not like some knockoff. If you're a Gedore fan, it is branded, which is another perk. And then right here, these do actually nest together. Again, we've covered those in pretty good detail across the span of time. Have I had issues with them? No. If I had, I wouldn't keep buying them. So typically, I want to say you can find them sub 20 bucks, maybe like 15-ish, if I'm thinking correctly. Don't hold me to that. Again, I didn't even bother to write the price down. And on that note, something else that I did not write the price down on is going to be in this hand. It is going to be from Gedore. Their part number is going to be 400. Let's see here, I guess KC Tool wise, GR605794. It's sort of irrelevant, and that's because this is the last one they had, and this is kind of a big deal for me. I'll tell you why in just a second. As you can see, it looks like that. We look at the label. It looks like it's been sitting around, it's weathered, it's aged a little bit, and you're like, well, what is that? It looks like a wrench of some kind. What's going on? You're testing something, you need some specialty tool, and it's pretty much the specialty tool route. So what this is, and it looks really good in hand, this is from Gedore, and it is their flare nut wrench, obviously SAE. Again, that's typically what I deal with. And they had these on like mega blowout clearance because they're basically down to literally none of them. I guess Gedore has discontinued these. I believe they still make, if you like the looks of this, the metric versions, but they do not have SAE stuff. So if we come in and take a look at it, this one is going to be 3/8 and 5/16. Guess we have 5/16 on that side for some reason. But yeah, I think I do have one flare nut wrench, and it was probably for brake lines. That would be in like a really old toolbox. I need to go check that, but I don't have a set of them by any means, and the one I have is probably like whatever AutoZone had at the time. So this is a very nice step for me. Now, the thing is, for those of you wondering, yeah, there were a couple more of these things, and in subsequent tool hauls, you're going to see me bring some of those in. And spoiler alert, what they have, I believe I've cleaned KC Tool out of. It didn't happen all at once. It's sort of just here and there, and then as I needed, you know, like a little bit of money spent to get free freight, sort of offset the wrench. It just kind of happened. So what they had, I took. There's a couple of sizes we're missing. There's one size I know I would have liked to have had, but 3/8 and 5/16, that'll actually be pretty handy, especially for brake lines and stuff. So I can finally take this tag off. But basically, since this was blind purchase for me, I don't know what to expect. I kind of wanted to inspect the wrench, see what I thought of it, see if I liked it. I did, and that paved the way to pick up the others. It's a fairly slim wrench for what it is. That's recessed there, if you're not familiar with the way Gedore stamps things. I can't remember, a lot of German companies use that AF. I can't remember if it's like American Form or Form Factor, something along those lines, but it's basically to indicate that it's SAE or Imperial. And I really have wanted to get this sticker off, so we're going to do that. And it looks like it's been on there quite a while. We'll hit it with some Ballistol and pray we don't spill it. But right there she is, completely undressed, free of most of the adhesive. So pretty stoked about that. Again, I can't actually, if you type that in, I can't even really link it for you. It would go to a dead page and say it's discontinued, if it's even still on the site, which I'm not sure it is. If it was, I would have pinned in the price when I did all the others. So yeah, stoked to have that sucker, and glad I liked it, because again, periodically in these upcoming tool hauls you may see more of those, so be leery of that. Sticking with the Gedore theme, we're going to come in right here. This sucker you can get if you love the looks of this thing. If you think, man, you know, that's super neat, gotta get it, well, you're in luck. This is their part number 298-01. Again, I'll have links down below for you. And what it is, it's right here. This is a Gedore oil can. This one is 125 milliliters. And what I'm interested in with this one, not gonna lie, was the spout. And number one, I get way more volume than some of the others I have. Again, it's incremented out real nice, especially if you use the metric system, which I don't. But 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, graduated out by 25s. It looks really good. That's a sticker. It'll probably stay on unless you just constantly spill fluid on it. But it's got what looked like in the picture, a really nice bottle. A lot of times you run into a situation where you have like inferior threads, you know, like the threads are like 1.5 rows deep and it constantly leaks from that point. So this is pretty robust for plastic. I am a little concerned about the lack of depth there. That's not something I was aware of. If it looks like our siphon ends right there, that's because it does. So you're basically gonna need, I don't know, 50 to 60 milliliters to pick anything up without having to turn it. I do think it's less likely to leak. The end up here will thread off, so that's good to know. It also seems to have plenty of threads. And it's kind of what I liked about it was A, the capacity, and B, that I could get into tighter spots. So that's kind of what the plan is there. We've covered these little guys since I've got it over here. Heyco and Gedore both have ones like this. As you can see, I've labeled that Earls. That may not mean anything to you, but to me, it means it's AN assembly lube, right? So I think I had something in mind when I bought this, and I believe that ship sailed. So we're probably going to go a different route with this, but I've got all kinds of... I think I want to put ATF in this. And the reason for that, when engines sit a long time, I like to pull the plugs and shoot ATF down the cylinders. And if you've ever tried to do that with anything that doesn't have a flexible spout, it's kind of a pain. And then the problem is, I know what good oil cans are. That would be goldenrod. It's what I use at work. The catch is, like, they all seem to be bigger. And a lot of times, you know, when I'm dealing around headers and everything, and I'm trying to get the flex in there, then I've got, like, the oil can is needing to sit here because we've got the fender and we've got headers. And so this little dinky little thing, I'm hoping I can just kind of snake it in. Maybe if this was a little bit, about twice the length, would really be ideal for me. If I like this, I might buy a bigger bottle and actually just swap the tops over. I'm not sure if these are available independently. It would probably be a deal where they would charge more for that than the bottle. But if I could kind of customize that and sort of just double this length, that would be great. I could also rig something up, but the threads looked robust, and that's, I believe, what I had in mind for it. I think there was honestly something I thought I would do before that, and I can't for the life of me. It's probably something to do with the truck. But yeah, there that sucker is. Looks really good with the blue lid and the brass. I have to say, it's a surprisingly decent looking combination. Sticking with that theme, let me pause this real quick. And we're back. Literally probably didn't have to pause it. I knew right where this was. One of the few things in life works out that way. What I have in my hand, if you watch the Ram Revival, if you watch where we sort of assembled the PTFE lines, I've never done PTFE, And this is number 9910-5. If you recall, we bought that really nice drift punch set many moons ago. And we've decked out the back of it with stickers and everything, made it look pretty good. That is sadly no longer available. And right here, this little guy, if you're like, what's that stupid thing? Well, that would be a ferrule for -6 PTFE lines. And this worked amazing. It worked so well, I even said in the video, I'm going to leave this on here. And basically the way it works, you have to fray, you know, you've got your nylon cover, and then you've got stainless steel braid, and then you've got your Teflon, essentially, or PTFE, if you can't call it that, because you don't pay to, you know, use the trademark name, essentially. So what I found worked awesome is you sort of like, if you make a cut, it just crimps the line, right? It crunches it down. So you have to kind of get it back into position. You can use a screwdriver, a pick. Better option would be like a thin pencil type of a thing, you know, something that's not going to poke a hole in the Teflon potentially. That's where I was using sort of this like blunt. It's not sharp at all, don't worry. Drift punch, and then ultimately what was happening, I was kind of trying to nest this at the same time, and it sort of got wedged here. It works awesome. Basically, I just ram this sucker down there, and it, one, restores the tube, you know, it makes it concentric once more, and then beyond that, it kind of does a really good job of getting the stainless out of the way. So 9910-5, if you're thinking like, hey, why are you telling us this random story, buddy? Well, if I'm going to leave this on here, right, I'd need a replacement drift pin, wouldn't I? And that's what we have here. So again, the part number from Gedore, 9910-5. This sucker's $5.75. Seems like maybe once or so a year, if you keep up on like sales or clearance or something on KC Tool, you'll find some of these just sort of at random that you can get a really good price on. And that's what this is. It's literally the exact same guy. But now I'm basically going to take this one and I'm going to plug it in, you know, with all my other, you know, I don't know if it'll fit. I have a lot of this stuff, the PTFE, in one of those Gedore L-Boxxes, ironically. And I don't know that it's going to fit catty corner. I mean, I'd have to pull a section out. If I ever do more PTFE, we'll probably make it bigger, like maybe pack out size or something, and then this would drop right in. But yeah, that's literally all this is. It's identical. It's just, as you can see, slightly better color because it hasn't been handled and beat on. And yeah, so there we go. Price point, again, sub $6. You can probably find it a little bit cheaper if you are so inclined. But again, that will restore my set. Let this one be dedicated to a specialty tool, and we'll call it good. Now, it would still function as a drift pin punch, but if we ever had to really go deep on something and we wanted something a little bit more robust than a size or two down, that would create interference. And I'm not going to lie, this is also like ridiculously tight. Could we get it off? Yes. It's aluminum, but specialty tool, and now a standard drift punch restored once more. So coming up next, what do we want to go with? Let's do this. The Knipex CutiX. We made like a 50-minute video on it because I love the thing. Update on it for you since it's sitting behind me, never too far away. You can tell it's been through some things in its little short life cycle, but it's still holding up, doing great. The weight on that thing is absurdly light. I absolutely love it. However, prior to the CutiX, what I had done is I had brought in this one. It is from Picard, right? This was my first ever breakaway. It's essentially the same blade setup as the, CutiX has. No stabilization bar, and the weight differential, we could probably hold 2 to 3 of those and come in around the same as this one. Not that this is a bad thing, it's just the CutiX is a big step up. You've got the bulk here, you do have the safety lockout, which I guess is nice or inconvenient. If you hate it, you can just thread it out. But where the CutiX is flush, this has that big deal. Yes, it's super easy to articulate. I have used the ever-loving snot out of this. The only reason I stopped using it is because I got the CutiX, which I find superior. The price point for this Picard one was $24.19. Okay, and at the time I bought this, this was like a brand new addition to the site, and it was listed, I believe, as made in Germany. I want to say that's been changed, and it's made in China. Which that sucks. That's another reason to pick up the CutiX, which oddly enough is made in Spain. Blades from Germany when it's stock. But in the CutiX video, I told you, I said, man, I have added a lot of utility knives. It's a shame we found one that's like super good now. And one of them, which I didn't feel the need to open because I was just rocking this guy till this tool haul was coming, is right here. And it's from Heyco. The part number will be 6640000. This is their Profi utility knife, and it cost $16.52. So if you're scoring, that's almost $8 cheaper than this. And if you're thinking like, well, okay, what's the big deal? Why do we care about the price comparison? Does that look familiar to anyone? Like, yeah, let me just set that down there. And even in the packaging, I think it's pretty obvious what's going on here, right? So Picard, Heyco, it's the same knife. Change your colors, change a logo. We have not seen the backside. As you can see, Picard has an inset here. We'll see if Heyco did anything similar or if it's different. But again, $8 cheaper. I would advise you to go this route. Unless you love orange or you're a big Picard fan or you hate Heyco, whatever, personal preference, the economical choice is to get this guy. So that is what I would recommend anyway. Essentially, by the time you buy 3 of these at $16 a pop, you would only have 2 of these at $24 a pop. So there's your ratio. That said, it is literally identical as best I can tell. You've got your information here. It includes the 5's integrated self-loading blades. It's zinc, apparently, I think is how that would translate. There's your lock. Again, the blade change mechanism is here. Coming in, this kind of just outlines everything. Positive blade auto lock. And it looks like this might just be, thank you, Heyco. Are you ready for the reveal? Let me cover it up. Make you wait a little bit. I love things that are packed like that. Just the simple slide out card. I'll probably keep this because, spoiler alert, it'd be a good video for people to see. Some of you may not like the CutiX. Some of you may prefer this, you know, or find that, hey, I'm going to spend the extra $8 versus the Heyco. However, when we take a look at the front side of this guy, it's pretty easy to tell. I mean, they are freaking identical. Change your color and call it a day, basically. So, and when I say color, I mean sticker. All right. To the credit, you know, you got green versus orange. So if you loved this thing and you thought, man, the CutiX is out of stock, which that would honestly be your biggest detriment to the Knipex product right now, is just stock. These you could probably get in stock. If you get one of these, whether it's Picard, and I've had several of you tell me that you picked this up and love it, and I did too, but when you compare the weight and other features to the CutiX, it's just, I kind of lean that direction. However, if you have this and you love it, and you maybe bought it for work or took it to work, you know, boss man, or if you run your own shop or whatever, and you want this at table A and you want another one at table B, and you don't want A to go to B or B to go to A, color coding. Green versus orange. Orange is on table A, green is on table B, right? Simple enough. It's the exact same mechanism. It's the exact same blade. You do have increased blade storage versus the CutiX. I think this one has 5 total. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, just in part, again, because we've covered it with the Picard, and we'll probably do a comparison video. Again, as I mentioned when we took a look, man, it's like a feather after handling those guys. But as I mentioned in the CutiX video, I may or may not have acquired a crud ton of utility knives prior to this thing coming around, so we'll just leave it at that for now. Now, speaking of Knipex, that is a very nice segue for us. This next product, probably the least exciting one. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be the most exciting for you. This is one of those deals. I was swapping emails with Colin, and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm back on this kick. What do you got? And this is Knipex part number 928418. It's going to be rectangular blunt, $18.56. Okay. What is it, you ask? It's a pair of tweezers. Yeah, that's all it is. Very thin tweezers. I'm used to way more material up here. Again, there is our Knipex logo. There's your part number, 928418. And yes, it is expensive, but I was on the quest to find tweezers that don't suck. I've got some really nice VHA ones, like for shop purposes. I love those things. I'm trying to find some, I'm not going to lie, to use in the bathroom, right? It doesn't have anything to do with electronics or precise anything or extract a fuse for me. I'm just looking for some that can pull splinters out of my hand, you know, stuff like that. Every time I try this, it's like maybe once a year, twice a year, depends how many splinters I get, I guess. But I'll be like, man, I really need some of those. And I've got a pair at work that's like, go and buy the description, the website pictures. I thought I was buying something good, but they're super beefy. I mean, you can't grab anything small. Like if I'm, breaking down pallets or something, on a slow day and I get like a giant splint of wood, yeah, I could probably grab that, but I could also get that with my hand. I'm looking for something that gets like the little tiny shreds. And what I have bought previously attempting to do that sucked big time. It was totally wrong. Great tweezers, terrible for what I'm trying to accomplish. So I said to Colin, I was like, hey, what would work for this? And this is what he said to try. And the ends do look pretty decent, and I'm not gonna lie, these will not be in the shop. These are now going to head inside, and I'll probably try them out tonight. So whether it's splinters, whether it's nose hairs, ears hairs, whatever, you've got tweezers, and I still advocate for this. It sounds stupid. It would sell like hotcakes. Sometimes, like a lot of stuff gets lost in the ocean, and I promise you, if Knipex or any of the German tool companies were to release like a grooming kit, toenail clipper, fingernail clipper, which I always use the same one, so it's a moot point to me, but good tweezers, clippers, and even include like decent scissors, that crud would sell, especially around Christmas time. I mean, that's like a no-brainer to me. You would need the price to be reasonable. You wouldn't want it to be like over the top. No one's going to buy it for, $180 or something. But if you get that out for like $29.99, basically $10 an item type of a thing, it's going to sell. Just trust me. I don't know why. No one taps to that. But it's just, if you've not, I don't know what happened when I was a kid. You'd break like clippers and trimmers and stuff all the time, and you could like go to the store and get some, and they were just as good. It was always US made, stainless. They suck now. They're terrible. They're Chinese garbage. You almost can't find anything. Stuff, like brands I had, when I was little that were good, they're now junk. And I don't know where people go to get this stuff. It's usually Walmart or Target for me. And I can't find anything that doesn't just flat out suck. So I rest my case. I think they really need to explore that. Knipex doesn't do an advent calendar. They do have a gift set this year. I believe it's like Cobras and their electrician's knife. Not the CutiX, but the electrician's knife. Which, that reminds me, I still need to make that video. The results are determined long ago. I never made the follow-up. So need to do that. But a holiday gift set with that stuff would sell. And I'm a big advocate for that. Now, sticking with the Knipex theme, we're going to come in here. This is a relatively, especially when I brought this in, it was like super new. I haven't really seen anyone cover it, probably because everyone has the previous iteration. I have quite a few of these too. We might have to showcase all, see which one you like better. It's going to set you back $34.48. This is part number 9505-10. And let's just throw it down right here. That's right. If you're thinking, hey, you already have those. Well, I have a very similar pair from Knipex. We've got the Vihas, we've got the Stavilla, and NWS, we don't have a style like this, but I have the ones where I don't have to put my fingers through there. So what this is, it's an electrician shear. It'll cut cable, it'll cut wire, small stuff obviously, nothing crazy. It comes with a belt holster, which is honestly really cool. These, what's different about them, they have a different color scheme. Some of you might have noticed that, but number two, they've got a crimp area. That's it. It adds a crimp area for functionality. It also, again, has a slightly different color scheme. We'll make a head-to-head on these. It won't be anything like showdown-wise. It's just like, hey, you can get this or you can get that. You probably pay a little less for the previous version without the crimp area. But yeah, my apologies. These have sat here for so long. The reason they're not open, I have a ton of these, and we didn't really need them. But we're going to go in with a personal story here. The Knipex ones I have, just like this, I've put back. They're still in the packaging, but they have been used a lot. What they were used on when old Thumb here, went through and, got drug into a bandsaw and crushed. The first couple of times, especially the very first time and then the second time that I had to get the gauze off that thing, it was a nightmare. It was stuck. They'd put on, I don't know what the nurse ladies do, but some like adhesive ointment crud, and everything was stuck. And then if you've never had gauze on stitches, oh, you haven't lived. And that's not one of those things you just man up and rip it off, right? I did consult some nurse friends that I've dated, and it was adamantly no, don't do that. You might pull the stitches out with it. So I'm sitting there, and I don't know, a couple hours each time, I had to cut that stuff off of me. And what I did is I took these, obviously the old style, took them in the house, cleaned them up really good, sterilized them with alcohol, and would just sit over the kitchen sink and try not to cut myself and try not to pull stitches. And so there's a little bit of a sentimental value there, and kind of what I'm thinking is, since these have the crimp function, these are going to stay in the shop. And then the ones which I had used actually prior to, you know, having to cut gauze off myself, I think I'm going to take them inside. They're really good scissors for stuff like that. Band-aids, gauze on stitches, and I'm sure just, you know, like simple things, you know, like if you have a sealed plastic bag on both ends or vacuum form stuff, having something like that in the kitchen drawer, you know, that drawer that everyone has, not a bad idea, to be quite honest with you. So we'll showcase, compare, and contrast these. For some of you, it'll be the crimp function. For others of you, it will be the color scheme. And for everyone else, and probably the majority, it will be the iteration that these are made the previous ones cheaper. So, but that aside, let's do these a little bit of justice here. Again, 950510. You don't have to worry about the SBA, but again, it does come with the sheath, and it is ready to go on your belt. You can kind of see it right there. I'll just bring this up top. Features a crimping area for end sleeves or ferrules up to 10 gauge. So that's actually pretty robust, I have to say. I figured it would like max out at like 16. So that's better than I anticipated. Precisely ground blades with fine serration for a clean, non-slip cut. Cutting edge with integrated cable cutter. The blades are made from stainless steel. And that's about it. So this packaging is also relatively easy to work with, and that's a big part of the reason that I still have the packaging, and I'm glad I kept it because now we can showcase the two. One of the best things about these, and it's one of the reasons I brought them in, is when I have scissors or shears or anything that cuts and I can't get my hand through them comfortably, I hate them. This goes back to when I was a little kid. This has nothing to do with tools. We can talk about cutting construction paper. And you know those scissors that have like the little dinky stupid things that even your fingers didn't fit through when you were a kid? I hate those. I don't know why they're made. I don't know who buys them. I don't know who uses them and likes them. This is not terrible. I would prefer, honestly, something a little more spacious and maybe, you know, padded comfort grip type of a deal. But you got to admit, these do look pretty cool, especially if that's your color scheme, red and blue. You like the Superman look or hardcore Knipex person. I do like that they integrated it there. That's surprising that to me looks like your, you know, 16 to 24 gauge. So they say it'll do 10. I guess it will. I don't know if that pops back in any. Huh. Well, I don't know. I'll take their words for it. I'm thinking they must literally mean ferrules, because I don't think there's any way, you know, butt connectors or anything are gonna 10 gauge. Like I said, I think it could do 16. That's primarily what I would do and what I use, so that's why I'm concerned about it. But it is a nice selling point. Again, the tips work really well, again, especially cutting gauze, because I have a lot of experience with that. And then down here, obviously right close to the joint for your leverage convenience, you got the cable shear portion. This may be a selling point to some of you. Like if you've got a pair of these and you love them, but they didn't come with a sheath and you always use these, you take them with you all the time. Well, boom, locked it in. So I was a little timid there. This one, the hand is much better on this side now, but I still run the risk of busting that wide open, and I'm trying not to do that. So let it bleed out naturally or something. I don't know. But yeah, it keeps the blades together, keeps them from cutting you, most importantly. I don't remember if the first one had the pockets there. It probably did for the flex, but we'll compare and contrast them at some point in time. But I wanted to get that showcased as well. So, clearing some trash off the table, we've got, I think, one more item, and then I can cut this box down with the CutiX. And this was also, at the time, again, this, I ordered it summer solstice, June 21st. They shipped it to me the 23rd, probably waited on something, and I got it the 25th. So, What I have right here, it's a brand new at the time. It's still new, we could call it, but it was brand new when I ordered it. It's never been used because I've got plenty of these, but I could not pass this up. And it sets you back $15.86. I'm pretty confident the prices for sets of these have come down. And if you're thinking Knipex, you're on the right track. If you're thinking Knipex, you're probably thinking pliers or some electrician product, and you're sort of on the right track. This part number is going to be 982402. It's insulated, and you're thinking, oh yeah, okay, electrician's pliers, and there's probably a set, and you must have just bought an individual one. You're close. You're very close, but you know, it's been a while, has it not, since we've had a proper screwdriver. That's right. Knipex, if you did not know, this isn't a deal where, you know, like you buy a pair of Knipex pliers and you get like some insulated Vera screwdrivers, or I think they had a deal where you could get like the Max Pro Plus with some of their tools. This actually feels really good in hand. But what we have, 982402, spinning around, Knipex branded screwdrivers, right? I know a lot of you despise that barcode there, so I'm sure it'll rub off, but it feels really good in hand. It's a little slippery up here, you know, where you don't have the overmold, but surprisingly fits the palm quite well. And this is a situation, this isn't like a direct rebrand. This isn't, you know, like, oh, Vera made this and put their handle on it, or, you know, Vit made it and threw a handle on it. This would be, I know where this came from now. And if you look at that, and you look at this Hosette, the Hosette, you know, the hex, this, by the way, is a fantastic hand. It's a shame these are so expensive because people would love them. A lot of people, some people would prefer something different, but if you note the similarity in the shapes there, it should be fairly obvious where I'm going with this. The people that make this, I believe, make that. And that would be, if you look at this, this is not going to be Germany. This is going to be from Slovenia. And if you recall with Hosette, that's where theirs are made. And there's one place there that makes a lot of screwdrivers, and I believe that's what we've got in our hands. So this is sort of a, I'd say it's like a hybrid between the high-end Hosette grip there and then sort of like their lower end. But it actually feels pretty good in hand. This thing just timed out on me. Full card, it said. I had to delete some stuff. But where was I going with this? I don't even know. I think what I was going to say is, you're probably sitting here and you're thinking like, hey, that CutiX, those shears up there, that red and blue, that would look really good on one of these screwdrivers. You know, I don't have to have the insulated stuff. I'm not an electrician, you're saying to yourself. But man, I love Knipex. Their prices are really good and competitive. I think I'm going to go buy one of their regular screwdriver sets. I'm right there with you. I would totally have done that if it was available. Currently, as of me recording this, which is now like 5 months past when I ordered this thing, that doesn't exist. They only have the insulated stuff. The possibility for Knipex to easily have these cranked out, and the classic Knipex red and blue color scheme, I don't know why they don't do it. Maybe they're kind of testing the waters here. Maybe it was just a deal where, realistically, you know, it's like for the electricians buying the toolkits. If you get all your VDE stuff from Knipex, kind of makes sense. And again, they've always partnered with people, and they've thrown in the screwdrivers from other manufacturers. And now to get this branded by Knipex, sort of your own standalone screwdriver, if you will, since they've done it for the electricians, what's to stop them from say, hey, you know, the homeowner or the hobbyist or the mechanic, you know, the machine shop guy, who's to say that his love and affinity for Knipex pliers would stop him from, when he needs a set of screwdrivers, going with Knipex? They've got the brand recognition, they've got the reputation, where if you, I don't know, maybe break off your Kleins, or you're sick of the tool truck guy, or whatever happens, no one has anything in stock, and you're like, okay, I want good screwdrivers and I want them from somewhere reputable. If you're a Knipex super fan, what's to stop you from saying, well, hey, they make good pliers, I'm going to buy their screwdriver? I don't think anything. This isn't something that a ton of people are going to go out and just buy, because actually, probably so with Knipex. You would have a good contingent of people that, oh, Knipex makes screwdrivers, I'm going to get those, which is kind of what we did here. But in my case, screwdrivers are like the big weakness. We've got to get them, got to test them, compare them, which eventually we'll get around to all that. But what I'm getting at is, since they have these and they're, you know, kind of private labeling type of a deal, as best I know, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I think they would sell the snot out of the red and blue designed Knipex drivers. You play around with it, tweak the colors, but essentially, just where it's red right now, keep it that way and throw blue here. I think that would work perfectly. If you wanted to invert the colors, so you have a primarily blue driver with the red, you know, swatch right here, make the red the soft overmold material, definitely an option. But I personally think they should do that, and I think they would sell them quite well. So just an observation. This is probably the topic of the video right here. Do you agree? If Knipex had, and obviously they've got their VDE stuff right here, it's in the flesh, it's available, you can get it standalone, piece by piece, if you just use Phillips, if you just use Posi, whatever, you can, you know, tiny little terminal set screws, you can order that standalone, be done, or you can buy the set. The sets, you obviously save money, they're pretty reasonable. I do believe the price has come down since they first came out, but if you're like, man, I don't really need the VDE stuff, you know, like I'd be fine with this right here. Well, would you take the Knipex in its standard configuration? Would you buy them as you need them, or would you just get the set? And I feel like a lot of people, especially like, let's say a guy brings in the TwinGrips or the CutiX, or they go and they get their first pair of Cobras or a pliers wrench and they love it. Anytime after that, when there's pliers that they need, they're going to go to Knipex, right? And it's the same thing. If then Knipex also has screwdrivers, guess what? They're going to buy the screwdrivers from Knipex. So it's sort of the same thing. If you're a Gedore super fan and you're like, man, those wrenches were amazing, well, why do you have their screwdrivers? And it's probably because you loved their wrenches. It could be you loved their screwdrivers and bought their wrenches. Same thing with Stavilla. You know, somebody picks up a set of their wrenches and like, my lord, this is the greatest wrench I've ever held in my hand. You know, I've used these now for 5 years. Well, guess what? When that guy needs pliers, what's he going to say? Like, yeah, you know, that's kind of expensive. I wish there was just a good plier. And then he's going to say, hey, my wrenches don't suck. Those are from that German company. I'm going to go see if they have them. And if they do, they'll get them. A lot of people that buy a pliers wrench might say, hey, I want to get my wrenches from Knipex. And then they're sort of disappointed when they see they don't manufacture or offer wrenches for purchase. So with this, and again, it kind of ties in with the electrical side of the pliers and everything, makes a logical connection. But who's to say then that you don't make the standard issue screwdriver, you know, non-insulated, non-VDE, make it a competitive price point, get people in, and maybe for some guy, that might be his first Knipex tool, and that sells him to try the Cobra or the pliers wrench, or so on and so forth. Sort of a, you know, multiple points of entry to get into the ecosystem is the way I would look at it. Now, that aside, this is truly a surprisingly comfortable driver. In the package, which I've never held this, by the way, I didn't think it would take this long to get to it, but the TwinGrip thing, which I'm still, I shot off for some information and I've not heard back, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that I'll hear back, but that's supposed to be this week's video. So I should realistically be making it. I had all the pliers laid out. I've decided to postpone it and see if I get info back. And if I don't have information by like Wednesday, I'm making the video. So, but I'm doing this in the meantime. And yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that. But yeah, that's why, like, all this stuff that I'm going to start rapidly cranking out has sort of just piled up on me because I was waiting on the TwinGrip stuff. Initially for the comfort grip, and then finally got those in, and we had like some other time sensitive stuff we had to do. And then it was like, hey, you know, I started messing around with them and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. I wonder if it is. And I want to be fair and try to get information before I say something. And that's currently where I'm still at there. But just looking at this through that plastic bag, I kind of thought this would be like a hard plastic and sort of like not that great in hand. But and that's exactly what this is. This is like a cheap feeling plastic, like you get like a dollar store VDE, but then the yellow has just enough tack to it to actually kind of provide grip. You can kind of see it rolling in my hand. There's no slip. We've got a good roll zone. It has a crud ton of anti-roll. I guess it's like a 6-sided hexagon there. We've got a hanging hole. Some of you will put this around the shaft of another driver and twist with it. We have markings here. If I flip it around, you can see PH2. The tip itself, that's kind of important, sort of like the main selling point, looks pretty dadgum good. And again, the VDE portion, I see nothing wrong with it. It's not super slim, it's not super thick. It's kind of right where you would expect it to be. And again, you will save a good chunk of money if you go with these on the set, you know, so keep that in mind. But we got plenty of VHAs, so I was just wanting to get this, see what it's all about, but most importantly, introduce this to you. Number one, I think a lot of you Sparkies will go out and you're like, oh, hey, cool, you know, I'm going to try that next time. Might not be an immediate purchase if it's tool of the day, which, by the way, we're looking at 5 months that these have been around. I've never seen one or a set on tool of the day, so keep that in mind. But it's just a situation where some of you will want to try these, and I really do think these would sell well in a standard non-VDE classic red and blue Knipex color scheme. Again, if you agree or disagree, or if you would love to see it, if you'd love to try them, if you would buy one, most importantly, or a set, leave a comment down below. Maybe Knipex will see this and be like, hey, that guy's right, we should make our standard screwdrivers as well. So maybe they're just waiting for that spark where, you know, some person picks this up and is like, hey, you got to make standard ones too. And who knows, maybe we will inspire that to happen. But 982402, again, sorry for those of you that hate and despise that barcode, but it is there. It'll come off in time with wear and tear and chemicals and grease and all that. So anyway, that is it for this tool haul. So brought in some pretty cool stuff. Again, basically a replica of our Picard. I do believe those are made in China initially. I mean, I bought this thing right off the bat too, and it was made in Germany. I think they update it as they can, or learn differently. Updated version of the electrician shears. I've got my replacement drift punch for this awesome now dedicated specialty tool. We've got some tweezers that are going in the house that I'm going to try out. We've got a brand new Knipex screwdriver, and picked up another oil can. You saw the L-Boxx in use. And I've got some flare nut wrenches that were on super closeout discount buy, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited to actually have dedicated sets. If I get lucky, the one that I have, or maybe I've got a couple, I don't really remember. It's not something I use often, but it's something you kind of appreciate when you need it, at least without marring up a fitting that you then have to replace because it leaks when you put it back together. We have a situation where there will be a glaring gap in that set that we will eventually complete across subsequent tool hauls. If that's the case, I'll see if I can find a Gedore. I don't know if I can. I think I'll go style Villa. I think it'll be similar profile, fit in the same racks I have in mind. And if that's not the case, hopefully, I know I have one. It's combo style, of course. I might have two. If I get lucky, it'll be the size I need, but I'm pretty sure what I have is probably 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, somewhere in there. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. So be aware. Spoilers, you will probably be seeing more utility knives. You will definitely be seeing some more of those discount closeout forever gone Gedore flare nut wrenches. And you'll eventually see these two compared. If that's something you like really, really want to see fast, let me know. Otherwise, I just typically kind of roll with like the tool hauls, and I guess eventually we get to a point where there's like not much left that we need, or brand new that we want to showcase, and then we'll get into the comparisons. But if you want to see them ahead of time, let me know, and we can make that happen. But yeah. I think that's it. I think we covered everything. We did get the sticker pack on this order. This was actually a huge order. We've just kind of pulled some of it many tool hauls ago. So I think we got it all. Yeah. Box is empty. Everything looks to be checked off on the list. So we'll call it good. Again, links where possible. I will have them down below. If you have these, how do you like them? Do you prefer them versus the earlier pair? If you know of a pair of, I don't care what brand it is, if you know like household style tweezers, pulling hair, pulling splinters, whatever, let me know, because that is like a total crapshoot. I've wasted a lot of time and money trying to figure that out blindly. We'll see how these work for us. Green or orange, that's another point of contention you could discuss. If you prefer Heyco or Picard, if you'd pay the extra $8 to get the color of your choice. Flare nut wrenches, if you have those, apparently they no longer make the SAE sizes, so you've got something rare and unique. And right here, would you buy standard red and blue classic Knipex color scheme screwdrivers? Let me know. But with that said, I'm kind of needing to run into the bathroom. It's getting really cold out here, so I'm going to do just that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Most importantly, I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. And with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you back here next week for more action from the shop.